Hello and welcome to NB Drives. My name is Nishmanya and join me for my trip from India to Le Mans, France. I was departing from Hyderabad and going to Paris with a layover in Dubai, and my flight left on 13th June at 5:30 in the morning. It was a very early start for me, and I was there well in time at 1 o'clock at the airport. As I was flying business class, the check-in process was fairly streamlined, but what did take some time was the immigration check, which had a very lengthy queue. Once I was done with the immigration, I headed off towards my boarding gate, but then as there's so much time left and since I had lounge access, I went and sat there for a little while, and it turned out I'd end up spending much more time than I initially planned on, as my flight was 1.5 hours late. In all fairness, the lounge was quite comfortable and the business class section had really comfy seats, while there were plenty charging areas and seating in the regular area as well. After what felt like an eternity, I finally headed off towards my boarding gate and I joined the business class line to enter. And this was my first time ever flying business class, so this was all a new experience to me. The shorter lines, and then when I got to the seat and saw how spacious and comfortable it was compared to other seats I've gone on before, I really started geeking out. I spent some time fiddling with all the different buttons to see what they all do with the seat controls and the middle partition being operated by these buttons, as well as what the infotainment had for the flight. Not long after, I was ready to take off, and this started the journey off towards Dubai, which was only 3 hours in its total duration. As a 6-footer, I was pleasantly surprised with the amount of legroom on offer, and this seat could go completely flat. I was even able to catch up on some sleep. Despite taking off an hour and a half late, our pilot did end up making up some time in the air, and we landed in Dubai about 45 minutes after arrival was originally scheduled. This meant that I did have to dash across the airport again, as my connecting flight was only about 40 minutes after this point, though the connectivity was pretty good and the staff was very helpful in pointing out where I needed to go. I won't lie, the Dubai airport is quite big, and I did end up getting a little out of breath getting to my boarding gate, as it was quite a ways away from the place where I landed, and I made it just in time for the boarding process to begin. This flight was different from the one that came from India to Dubai, as I was flying in an Airbus A380, and this was my first time being on this plane. Also, this was my first time ever being on the second deck of an aeroplane. So that was an interesting experience for me, and definitely the amount of space you get here is much more than you do on the regular international flights that travel shorter distances. Here you get the same spacious seat, but also a cabinet where you can store your stuff. There's a drinks counter, there's a much larger folding table, and there's also a more spacious conversion of the seat into a flat bed. And I guess this makes sense, as this is a 7-hour plus flight, so they do offer a little better space, especially for the money you spend on it. On the second flight, I had the option of taking 2 meals, but as I was really sleepy from essentially not sleeping at all the night before, I wanted to catch up on some sleep and skip the breakfast. I did end up having lunch, which was quite nice. A comfortable 7 hours later, I landed at Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris and breezed past through the immigration line, though I did end up spending a lot of time waiting for my luggage to arrive. It took almost an hour for it to reach on the conveyor belts, but from there I had a private cab booked to my hotel in Paris, and it was a Citroen C5X. It was quite a comfortable ride out back into the city, and as you can see, one of the trademark views out of the CDG airport is the little tunnels that go under the runway where you can actually see the planes on the tarmac. It's actually really cool. After about a 40-minute drive, I started entering the more recognizable parts of Paris, and as you can see, the streets and the architecture look so unique. And about 13 hours later, now I am here in Paris and I've checked into my hotel. The hotel's name is Maison Albert Hotel. I'm gonna butcher that pronunciation, I'm really sorry for that. But this is my room. It's quite nice, very centrally located. I am fairly close to the Louvre, but 10 minutes walking. That is the common area down there. It's actually quite nice. And yeah, I am very much looking forward to getting a little bit of rest, but I'm definitely going to go out tonight and basically get a feel of the area again, because it's been about 5 years since I last came to Paris, so it's going to be good to familiarize myself again. And in any case, tomorrow I'm heading off to Le Mans. So I will catch up with you when I step out from here, and then yeah, tomorrow is getting to Le Mans itself. I'm very, very excited. This is the bathroom, and yeah, yep, shower cubicle. Quite nice. As promised, I'm heading out now to go to the Louvre, and basically I'll walk around a little bit there and maybe go down to the banks of the Seine, and I'll take you guys along for this small little outing. From the hotel, it really was a fairly short walk to the Louvre. It only took me about 12-13 minutes to get there. And these streets I have walked extensively in my previous trips to Paris, so all the memories started flooding back to me. I've made it to the Louvre, the pyramid at least for the entry, and it's just as impressive as I remember it being. Here's some footage of it. It's right here. I'm now contemplating going over to the banks of the Seine, and from there you might even be able to walk down to the Eiffel Tower. It's a long walk, so I'll decide whether I have the energy to do it, but at least I'll go down to the side of the river now. And literally a 5-minute walk away, I am already at the banks of the Seine. It's right there, across the road. We'll get there and get some better footage. And there it is. That is the Seine. I also want to make a note of how lovely the weather was in Paris. It was about 16-17 degrees out, and it was so pleasant, so breezy by the banks of the Seine. It definitely made me want to walk even more than I initially wanted to, despite all the tiredness starting to set in now. By the way, for those of you who've not been here before, this is all still the Louvre. This entire building is where the collection is. Part of it is underground, but part of it is in this main building. This is the famous Ponte Art Bridge. It used to earlier have people going and putting locks on it and making wishes and chucking the keys into the river. But unfortunately, the number of locks that went up on it, it made the bridge a little too heavy. And they recently, a couple of years back, had to essentially remove all the locks from the bridge and now actively prevent people from putting them on there. So it's an interesting little piece of information. I have seen this bridge covered in locks, and now it's quite strange seeing it without any. It's now got glass paneling. And I hate to make this connection, but for those of you who've seen the iconic movie Pink Panther, this will be a very recognizable sight. And so should this bridge. Given that it was already 6:30 by this point, I decided to walk around a little more and catch an early dinner before heading back to my hotel. I ended up walking almost 30 minutes away, so by the time I got back it was around 9:30. And I thought I'd go to bed early so that I can adjust to the different time zone and be fresh for the next day's travel. It's 9 o'clock and there's still light out. It's crazy. Welcome to day 2 of the trip, and today I'm leaving from Paris to Le Mans. It seems to be overcast. It's about 12 o'clock noon, and that is the view of the courtyard of my hotel. Again, I had a great stay here. The staff's been very friendly, and I had a very filling breakfast as well. So I feel like I'm all set to go on to the journey I have today. It's about 2.5 hours to Le Mans. And when I get there, I'm gonna roam around the town a little bit and take you guys along as well. And basically acquaint myself before tomorrow, which is race day. Race day for me will start at 4 p.m. local time. As I said, it's about 7:30 Indian Standard Time. And yeah, I will take you along and show you the sights of Le Mans today. From the hotel, I set off on my 2-hour drive, and on the way out of Paris, I ended up seeing the Arc de Triomphe. I even got to see this cool Renault rally car being towed by a V8 powered Jeep Cherokee, which was quite cool. Then I promptly got onto the motorway, and it's always nice to see a well-disciplined motorway section. The motorway, like many other European countries, is well organized, and they are relatively good at maintaining lane discipline, and there are plenty of service stations on the way as well. The highway travel was a breeze, and getting to Le Mans really didn't take more than 2 hours. I didn't end up stopping anywhere on the way, and the scenery was also really nice and picturesque. I got sunny sections most of the way through, apart from just before entering Le Mans, where it became cloudy and overcast. Alright, I've made it to the outskirts of Le Mans and I have checked into my hotel. This is the Ibis Budget Hotel. Sort of like, I think it's 4 or 5 kilometers away from the main center. And this all that was available when I did my booking, and that was about a couple of weeks ago. So do keep that in mind. Hotels do sell out really fast out here. And here's the room. Quite basic. There's a bed, small table, a hanger area, and small bathroom. Hey, it's the shower. As you can see, my ride to the racetrack was this really cool liveried up C6 Chevrolet Corvette. This was owned by the people who helped me source the ticket so close to the race. And the ride itself was only 15 minutes, but it was lovely traveling in this V8 powered sports car. It also got plenty of attention out on the streets of Le Mans. I am right now walking up towards the main entrance from somewhere near the Porsche chicanes. So I will give you guys an update when I make it into the main entrance. I'll check my tickets. So the rain started coming down as I entered the circuit, and it just got heavier and heavier for the first couple of minutes while I was roaming around. As I crossed the Porsche chicane, I got my first sighting of the Ferris wheel, and this all looks so familiar from the various video games that I've seen it in, as well as from the live broadcasts from previous years. It just felt so surreal being there in person. As I continued on to the paddock and pit lane area, I saw the Ferrari hospitality suite, outside which was parked this lovely SF90 Stradale XX. I'd only been walking for about 15 minutes to get to this point, but there was so much more walking to come my way, as was proven by my step counter on my watch at the end of the day. The paddock was bustling with teams busy getting their cars ready for the next day of racing. I'm so glad I went on the Friday before to see the village area, because even though it looks crowded here, this was nothing compared to the two race days. And while I was in the village, I got to see the winning Ferrari from the previous year, the 499P, and it looked so good in person. At the Michelin stall, I even ended up seeing the Porsche GT4e Performance, which also looked really nice in person. But more importantly, over on the Goodyear stall, you could see the Garage 56 NASCAR Camaro from last year. And oh boy, did this look cool. There are some other interesting cars on display, including the Le Mans hypercar from Peugeot. I'm in the village area. I'm heading off towards the Dunlop Bridge. Now, the village is right at the end of the pit lane, and the Dunlop Bridge, I'm heading there because that's where the grid walk is. Hopefully I can get there in time, and I think I'll see you guys when I get onto the track. Fingers crossed. There it is, the iconic Dunlop Bridge. Look at that. Dunlop Bridge, and then these are the stands. I'm walking onto the racetrack, onto Circuit de la Soft, and there's the Dunlop Bridge behind me. And now I am actually on the tarmac. Look at that. How insane is this? The organizers had displayed this year's trophy for everyone to see right near the Dunlop Bridge. I've thought about it for a little bit, and I think I'm gonna head down towards the main grandstands and pit lane, which is, as you can see, not down towards the Dunlop Bridge, but the opposite direction. And damn, the elevation change does not come across as much on the TV. There's actually a fair amount of elevation change out here. Look at that. And it's really breezy. I really doubt you guys will be able to hear me. I'm gonna still try. I can see the start finish straight, and look at the crowd. That's absolutely crazy. Here it is. This is the start finish straight. That is the iconic Michelin sign with, as you can see, the 24 hours of Le Mans logo up there. And these are the grandstands, by the way. Today they're completely, well, more or less empty, but this is just amazing. I am so excited to be here, and it has been quite a day, so I think I'm gonna do a quick pit walk and then wind up for today, and I'll be back tomorrow slightly early for the main race. So see you guys then. As I took in the sights and head into the pit lane, my adrenaline was pumping. Seeing all the garages with people working in them and seeing the cars get ready for the race tomorrow, it was just so exciting. I even got to see the BMW team garage, the Lambo team garage, and of course the reigning champs, that's Ferrari's garage. Even the Cadillac garage had the hypercars all getting prepped, and these are some of my favorite sounding Le Mans hypercars at the event. The pit lane was packed and buzzing with people. There were so many around to see the cars, and we even got to see one of the teams start up their cars. And it started raining so heavily, so I only managed to get this much footage. Hopefully this gives you a good insight into what the atmosphere was like leading up to the race, and there's just so much more to come from the race day. Watch this space for the video covering the entire 24 hours of the 2024 Le Mans, and until next time, cheers.